Hey everybody, this is Doe, and today I'm going to cast a game between Dimaga and TLO. TLO we have spawning in the 6 o'clock position on Lost Temple here, Dimaga up in the 3 o'clock position, or maybe it's more like the 2 o'clock position, I don't know. And this match was actually, it's the best of 3. It was played at Blizzcon, and I believe it was in the losers bracket too. I think this was after TLO had lost to Sen. And I'm not sure who Dimaga lost to, but they ended up playing each other in the losers bracket, and it is going to be a ZvZ. In case you didn't know, TLO has switched back to Zerg. I guess I shouldn't say switched back to Zerg. It feels like switching back to Zerg, since originally in beta TLO did play random, and he really made a name for himself with his creative Zerg play, so a lot of people are pretty excited about seeing him play Zerg again. His Terran, of course, was very unique, but Zerg is always fun to see when TLO plays it. Really, any race is fun to see when TLO plays it. I have to see if we can find some Protoss games by him, but he hasn't played TOS for a long time. Anyway, looks like the players are spawning in close position, so we're probably going to see a lot of aggression, most likely a Fast and Furious game. I actually haven't watched this yet, so I'm not sure what exactly is going to go on. And it looks like TLO sending out a scout to his opponent's base, trying to get a little bit of a sense about what is going on there. Neither player expanding quite yet. And we are getting about to that time where if a player wanted to go hatch first, they would. TLO sees that his opponent is in close positions and moves back, but it looks like he's going to take a second look there. And he's going to try to stop that hatchery from going down, and he does do it. So TLO harassing Dimaga a little bit, keeping him from putting down that hatch first. And Dimaga is probably going to be putting down a spawning pool then pretty soon, because this is a pretty successful harassment from TLO. There goes the spawning pool, and the hatchery does go down, so Dimaga forced to put down his pool a little bit earlier, although really it ended up going down about the same timing, just ended up delaying that hatchery a little bit. So TLO with some nice harass early in the game, spawning pool as well going down for TLO, and TLO getting gas up and running already, possibly looking at going at that Zergling speed or roaches, so we'll have to see which he favors. Not sure if TLO is the type to prefer banelings in Zerg versus Zerg. I haven't seen him do a ZvZ in quite a while. Dimaga also getting his first gas as well. And so right now we're just kind of waiting for the builds to develop between these two players. TLO, I haven't really heard any reasons for why he did switch back to Zerg. I think a lot of people were probably bugging him about it. I mean, he made a name for himself, and TLO also putting down the Baneling nest real quick here, it looks like. And but anyway, yeah, he did make a name for himself during beta playing Zerg, playing very creatively. There was a series between him and Coffin Luck that I believe was in the original HDH Invitational Tournament way back in beta, where people really started to notice him. And so a lot of people were kind of surprised when he ended up picking Terran after the beta ended. It looks like we do have a Spinecrawler going down for Dimaga. 2 Spinecrawlers actually, so Dimaga putting up a fairly heavy defense at the natural. Looks like he's just going to plan to mac her up, and that's a little bit of a change from the Dimaga we knew and loved from earlier in the life of StarCraft 2. Dimaga, of course, was known early on for being sort of an all-in-ish Baneling type player, and lately he's changed it up to be a lot more of a solid standard macro player, and I think it's done really well for him. I've been very impressed lately. TLO already marching up with some Banelings and Zerglings, taking that Xel'Naga tower, and already bringing in some Banelings, morphing those in. Looks like he's going to do some fairly early aggression. I'm a little bit surprised he hasn't gotten speed yet, though. But that does allow him to get the Banelings that much sooner, so we're going to have to see if Dimaga is prepared. It looks like he is fairly well prepared with 2 Queens and 2 Spinecrawlers. The third one going down there, TLO poking in a little bit, but he is going to be forced back by those Spinecrawlers. TLO looking like he wants to just maybe get in there somehow, but it's a fairly tight defense. Ooh, losing a Baneling to 1 Zergling there. Good job by Dimaga baiting that out. Losing another Baneling. And so Dimaga doing a good job of taking out those Banelings, only needing to sacrifice 1 Zergling right now. And so we're going to have to see if TLO decides to push in. And it looks like he is going to push in. He looks pretty dedicated here. Going to try to go for the ramp. No, he's going around. No, he's not actually. No, he is going around the Queens. The Spinecrawler is doing some damage. But TLO taking out a good amount of drones there. He must have gotten at least 4 or 5, I would say. So TLO able to poke in there and do a little bit of economic damage to Dimaga. If we look at the income tab, that did reduce the numbers for Dimaga, but with that second base up and running, Dimaga is still fairly ahead in the income department. Those Spinecrawlers doing a good job of making it so that TLO really can't do much else other than kind of poke in. In the meantime, we do have a natural going up for TLO, the drones being transferred, So TLO is getting his second base underway. And if we look at other places, we do see a lair going down for TLO as well. So TLO moving right into that lair tech, so we'll have to see what he's planning with that. Some more Zerglings possibly thinking of poking in a little bit into the natural of Dimaga. Possibly trying to sneak up that ramp, but he's not going to get in very far. That's a very tight defense, a pretty tight perimeter for Dimaga. And of course with that many queens about, since they can move fairly quickly on creep, although it isn't quite connected yet, he would be able to hopefully prevent any sort of overlord scouting. Queens spawning a little, or spewing rather, a little bit of larva on the hatchery. TLO doing a fairly good job of maintaining a little bit more map control with the ZvZ tower there. We also do have an overlord keeping an eye on this base as well. And it looks like overlords from each player kind of keeping an eye on each other's bases, seeing if there's any sort of hidden third expansion. As you can imagine, not too many of them are going to be thinking of taking this gold expansion in this particular position. And right now it looks like Dimaga is upgrading missile attacks and carapace level 1. So Dimaga possibly thinking of going some sort of, I would say, Roach Hydra build. Yeah, there goes the Roach Warren right now. Lair morphing in, so I would imagine we'll probably see a Hydralisk Den shortly afterwards. It looks like we do have an infestation pit going down for TLO right here. And so TLO, one of the things he was known for with his Zerg play was kind of creative use of infestors. So TLO is going to be bringing that back again. It looks like he will be up to his old Zerg tricks, getting down a nice wall of spine crawlers to defend his own natural there. So both players beginning to sort of sit back and play a little bit more of a macro-oriented game, kind of deciding what to do at this point, working on their respective strategies. That Roach Warren just now finishing for Dimaga, and a Hydralisk Den immediately going down afterwards. And Dimaga adding on that Hydralisk Den right in front there, so not making any sort of what word am I looking for? Presuppositions about what build he may be going. He's going to reveal right away. And it looks like TLO getting the pathogen glands as well. He's going to get that extra infestor energy. A little bit of Zergling on Zergling action up here, but TLO will be able to force Dimaga back from that ZvZ tower. And it looks like Dimaga bringing out the roaches. Not researching the groove spines quite yet, but he's probably just waiting for a little bit more resources to build up there. Also getting missile attacks and carapace level 2, so Dimaga doing really well on getting those upgrades. That's going to come in handy if he, when he eventually does decide to push out against his opponent. First roach is finally coming out for Dimaga. If we go back to the base of TLO, starting to spread his creep across the map there. And he's putting up more spine crawlers. That's kind of an excessive amount of spine crawlers. Looks like Dimaga pushing out across the map, starting to take a little bit of control for himself with those roaches. TLO has to fall back. Doesn't want to waste any units. Looks like we do have some infestors coming out for TLO. 4 on the way, 5 on the way actually now. So TLO, that's quite a few infestors. And still no Zergling speed or anything like that. That actually really surprises me. If he is planning to work Zerglings into this build at all, that speed is almost indispensable. And holy cow, a lot of spine crawlers going down for TLO. Dimaga pokes in and sees the massive amount of spine crawlers, so I think we're starting to get an idea about what TLO is planning to do. Looks like he's planning on doing some sort of mass spine crawler push paired with infestors. So yeah, you really that's TLO for you. I mean, always doing something really unique and kind of new, although in this particular case, I don't know if this is going to be able to stand up to that more standard, powerful, high damage Roach Hydra army that Dimaga would have. Dimaga pushing out with his own spine crawlers right now, setting up a little bit of a perimeter. And TLO starting to work on those rocks, but Dimaga says, no way, my rocks. Roaches come in and take out those Zerglings there. And TLO starting to push out again with those spine crawlers and infestors. Doesn't really have a lot of other units to back this up though, so he is going to be counting on those spine crawlers to do the majority of the damage while the infestors hold the units in place. And a Nidus network going down for TLO as well, so that's going to be interesting to see if he can bring the Nidus into play at all. In the meantime, we do have a third base going down for Dimaga. That is almost finished there. Dimaga's starting to look fairly powerful, has a pretty large army going, and wow, actually Dimaga way ahead in the food count there. And you do have to take into consideration that the spine crawlers don't show up on the food count as well. So TLO a little bit slower, or a little bit lower I should say, on total offensive units. But in this case you'd have to include the spine crawlers. Nice little fungal growth going down on some of these roaches, catching a couple of hydras as well, starting to do some early damage there. So TLO possibly doing some sort of slow methodical push across the map with spine crawlers. If he can get good fungals in on the units as they move in for Dimaga, he can just kind of sit back and let the spine crawlers take care of them. Another nice fungal going down on those units, but it looks like Dimaga is going to come in from all sides with this Roach Hydra army, and here's where those spine crawlers are going to have to do their job. Fungals going down, holding those units in place, but they are within range. That extra roach range definitely helping out Dimaga, and the spine crawlers are going down fairly quickly. More fungals going down for TLO, but I think this army is just going to be a little bit too large. Some nice transfuses going down on the spine crawlers, transfuses from Dimaga going down on his roaches as well. More fungals going in, creating a little bit of a choke point, and it looks like Dimaga is going to be able to walk right into the base of TLO, though TLO having to pull back his infestors, trying to fungal as best he can, but it's just not going to be enough. I think we're probably going to see a GG fairly soon. Yes, there it is. So TLO GG's tries a little bit of an unorthodox play with a spine crawler infestor push, and Dimaga will have none of it, just powering in with his Roach Hydra army. So interesting game here on close positions on Lost Temple, and we're going to have to move on to game 2 now and see what happens. So until then, if you like my casting, please subscribe. Otherwise, keep playing StarCraft 2, and I'll see you guys on the next cast.